Now let's just talk about Elul.
The whole faking situation.
Faking.
How could it be? He knows what I'm talking about. Elul, let's be better. Elul.
Yeah. The obvious question is, what's the end of Rosh Chodesh Elul? Like, what famous historical event happened? What happened in Rosh Chodesh Elul? Moshe Rabbeinu was invited up back to Shamayim to get the Luchos Shnios, and he came down with them on Yom Kippur. So that's the 40 days, from Rosh Chodesh Elul, 30 days of Elul, 10 days of Yasser Shemei Tshuva, boom, 40 days. And that's why Yom Kippur has always been consecrated as a day of forgiveness, because that's the day Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the second Luchos. But he was summoned up on Rosh Chodesh Elul.
And that's 3 times, right?
What? Went up 3 times, correct. Because in the middle he went up for 40 days and 40 nights to ask for Rachamim for Am Yisrael. Right. There are 3 sets of 40 with like only a day or 2 between each one of the 40. From went up after Shavuos, and then he went up after Shavuos and Tammuz. And he came down, and then there was the 40 of going up to to get the second luchos.
Wait, I thought Yom Kippur was
as the end of the third 40.
One, no? So he got he went up to get Rachamim for Kol Yisrael.
Right, begged for forgiveness, and he came down, and then he went up again. Yeah, so he came down, then Psolacha, then Kodesh Baruch Hu told him to cut the tablets, and then he went up again in Elul, and he came down Yom Kippur, and that was Yom Kippur was then set aside to be a day of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So what's the obvious question? Why does he have to be there for 40 days and 40 nights? He already learned it all the first time he went up. Mm-hmm. Right?
Different luchos.
Yeah, different luchos, but you would think it's the same Torah, so you would think.
No, you gave that shir at the party, right? You said that there was a new way of approaching getting back.
Oh, excellent.
Because every generation it changes because the first generation can't relate to it.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, well. So I guess we have to say something else, right? It's quite, the function of those, that set of 40, to get the second luchos. What was, what he learned that was new? The Maaseh Sefer Yetzirah says like this: Himlich os, that by Himlich os Yud b'Maaseh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the month of Elul, coronated the letter Yud in the power of action. All right, that's the Sefer Yetzirah. Elul is Ot Yud b'Maaseh.
Where's the Yud?
No, not in the name, but in the of which in the Aleph Beis, the 12 of the 22 letters are single letters that don't have a Sophie, don't have a Sophie, and they don't have a Dagesh. They're called the Yud Bet Pshutot, as opposed to the Zayin Kfulot that have a Dagesh, which are the Osios Beged Kaparat, Beit Gimel Dalid, Chaf, Pei Reish Tav. They give a Dagesh or Beli Dagesh, and then there are Gimel Imot, Aleph Mem Shin. Therefore, also excluded, you're left with 12 letters, which are connected to 12 months. Once you eliminate everything that you eliminate, the 7 and the 3, you eliminate 10 out of the 22. You're left with 12 letters, and those 12 letters are connected to 12 months. So now, of which Ot Yud, right, is connected Elul. But the Sefer Yetzirah says what they did with that letter, where the power of that letter is Chal. So the power of the letter Yud is Chal on Maaseh. That's what the Lashon of the Sefer Yetzirah is. Him in Elohim Himlich os Yud b'Maaseh. The letter Yud reigns in the power of action. What's that? Right? So the Goin in the Sefer Yetzirah gives a remes. Because on Rosh Chodesh, presumably it was Rosh Chodesh Elul, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, Psol lecha shnei luchos avonim karishonim. Carve out the second luchos. Right? So that's the Maaseh. So that the Gaon says in his Pirish Sefer Tzir. That's the Himach Osyud b'Maaseh. What's the Maaseh? Where the Osyud is Chal. Right? Psolacha Shnei Luchos Avanim. What's Pshat in the Gaon? What's Pshat in Sefer Tzir? What's Pshat in the Gaon?
Second Matan Torah?
Well, sort of. Right? Like, well, what's Pshat? You know, like, so Osyud b'Maaseh, and the Gaon says, you know, what is the Sefer Tzir? Referring to Psolacha Shnei Luchos Avanim. Moshe Rabbeinu presumably carved out those luchos on Rosh Chodesh Elul and then went up to Shemayim. Right?
Or he went, he carved it and then he went up?
Yeah, because he had to bring up, because he had to bring up the luchos with him. Second luchos were from earth. Second luchos were earthly. The first luchos were from heaven.
Well, the ones that he broke, you're saying he had to bring up?
No, he had to carve new ones. He had to carve new ones. And bring them up, and God would write on the luchos what was written on the original. But he had to carve them out. The first luchos he didn't have to carve out.
What
brought it to him.
Yes.
Why does he have to bring up the luchos?
Yes, right. Oh, very good. Which is the fundamental difference between the first luchos and the second luchos. First luchos, it says, you know, it was all from God. Haluchos ma'is Elokim hema, v'haluchos michtav Elokim charus haluchos. The luchos were ma'aseh Elokim. They were divine. God made them. The second luchos were psolacha. You v'chasavte luchos eshadvarim. Right? You have to make the tablets this time. My tablets you broke. Now you have to make the tablets, and I'll write on those tablets that you make what was written on the original tablets.
You know, it's not exactly.
Not going to be divine the same way.
It's also different. Above a keyboard.
The difference is, you know, that's you know what God did, you know.
Total law.
Right. Correct. Right, but actually, yeah, you know, it's all called the same stuff because it was, you know, B'dibur Echad Nemru, and when God said it by Matan Torah, by Shavuos, He miraculously said both nuschos simultaneously. All right, but so let's just get into the fundamental difference, you know, between the first luchos and the second luchos is this inyan, that the first luchos were from heaven and the second luchos were man-made by Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? And it's interesting. This Gaon is actually, you know, perfectly paralleling, you know, the lashon that it is by the first luchos, because the first luchos were the Torah describes them as valuchos maaseh Elokim hema. That's their description of luchos. They are an act of God. Maaseh Elokim. Right? So over here on the words Psolacha Shnei Luchos Avanim says the Gaon, this is what the Sefer Tzira means, Himlich Osyud b'Maaseh. Psolacha. So you know the word Maaseh is not used in the Torah, but that's what, you know, the Sefer Tzira, where it says Osyud b'Maaseh. So Gaon says, what's the Maaseh? Psolacha Shnei Luchos Avanim. It's also called the Maaseh. No, except the first one is called Maaseh Elokim. This is called Moshe Rabbeinu's Maaseh. And it's called Os Yud B'Maaseh.
You mean it's part of the 12 letters, Pshutim.
The Os Yud of the 12 Pshutim that are connected, the 12 months. In the month of El, the letter Yud reigns with the power of Maaseh. Says the Gaon that is exhibited that on Rosh Chodesh Elul Moshe Rabbeinu carved the luchos. That's the Maaseh. Right? Well, it is like this, that the madrega of the first luchos, right, that Am Yisrael got in response to saying Nasa before Nishma. Now, how can they say Nasa before Nishma? You don't know what to do. The pshat is that, you know, the body will naturally follow the mind, you know, follow the tzivui. The body doesn't have to be convinced So that's what it means, even putting Nashim before Nishma, because it'll happen like simultaneously. You don't know which came first, the tzivui or the obedience. Right? By us, it's like you gotta talk, you gotta tell a guy again, tell him a third time, and then threaten him, and then maybe.
I was thinking something else. Like Jews, they always jump into something they have no idea how they're gonna get out.
Yeah. There's a chazal like that someone told Rava, you guys are just too impulsive. You said Nasa before Nishma, you got yourselves into something you can't handle. I'm a Paziza, right? So there's a chazal like that. That's
Really?
and we are impulsive people. Saying Nasa was an act of being impulsive. Rav, yeah, you said negative. And Rava's defended and said we were trusting of God. Too much Shurim Tamchin. Right. But getting back to what was the madrega of the first luchas, paralleling the madrega that Am Yisrael reached at Shavuos, that Naaseh before Nishma, that means the Maaseh, the Maaseh, it was so natural to just do whatever Hashem wants. You can't even tell what came first, the tzivui or the obedience, because it was that natural and that instant. And that's what it means, Naaseh before Nishma. You really can't tell what comes first. Because Fiat Teva, you have to hear and then do, right? But generally there's like serious time lapse. You can definitely see that the Nishma came first, right? Because you have to tell him 10 times and then beat him up and then cool. And then after that he'll finally do. Am Yisrael was on this madrega that the obedience was instantaneous. That you don't know which came first, the tzivui or the maisa. Because it was instantaneous. Am Yisrael's bodies, which we do our meisim with, was so in line with Ratzon Hashem.
Right. Meaning we didn't have to think about whether we wanted to do the Ratzon.
That's right. You need no convincing.
That time lapse.
Yeah. No lapse of needing convincing or threatening or right. So it was so instantaneous. You don't know what came first, the tzivui or the obedience, right? So now, connected that, we have the writing on the luchas, which is the tzivui, and the luchas themselves, which is the maisa. And the first was luchas maisa elokim. The luchas were like act of God because even the maasa of mankind was elokus, was mamish divine. Our bodies were divine, and it was so natural for the body to do whatever. First. That's why the luchas are called maisa elokim. The luchas were divine also, representing the body, that the body was just totally in sync. Totally in sync. So the luchas were elokus, ma'asa elokim. We do ma'asa with our body. Ma'asa is in the physical realm. But the luchas were ma'asa elokim. The luchas represent the heart and the body. And it was ma'asa elokim. Because connected how Am Yisrael said na'aseh before Nishma, and at that time we're on the level that it was so natural for them to do whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted. The Yetzer Hara did not get in the way. The Yetzer Hara was Yisrael Shalom L'Ashay Paska Zu Masam. The Yetzer Hara was flushed out. It was just.
What about the eagle?
So the eagle, they were seduced from the outside. Chazal say that the Satan from the outside, the Yetzer Hara wasn't internal anymore. From the outside, he projected an image of what they thought was Moshe Rabbeinu's coffin. So they thought he died, but they were tricked from the outside. It wasn't internal; it was external. It wasn't like our Yetzer Hara that's inside of us.
So the fact that they got to such a low level, Moshe Rabbeinu had to go for 40 days to rewrite the luchas.
Rewire everything.
Because
right.
It's no longer Nasa v'Nishma.
That's right.
Nishma v'Nasa.
That's right. Now that's a Mefurish Lashon Chazal. It's a medrash in Parashas Yisro. That Am Yisrael, that a servant poured two cups of beverage for the king, and then a calf got loose, bumped into him, and one cup shattered. And when he gets to the king with only one cup, the king says, "This one you better guard it with your life, the one that's left." So also Am Yisrael is a medrash. So also Am Yisrael poured two cups for HaKadosh Baruch Hu by Har Sinai. One cup called Naaseh, one cup called Nishma. And then they banged, they were hit by the calf. It goes off. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Shavartem Naaseh, Hizaru b'Nishma. what's called that we lost from the ego is nase, shavartem nase, his haru b'nishma. The only thing we have left is nishma. We don't have nas anymore because the flesh is weak. The meisim, they just don't follow. Like the Gemara says, we'd love to do what you want, but what can we do? The Yetzer Hara and the Golus gets in the way.
So the Yetzer Hara is already inside, so there's no.
That's right. So that's called shavartem nase, because Yetzer Hara is inside the body.
Instead of exterior.
Right? It's in the body, disrupting that the body doesn't naturally follow Ratzon Hashem. Needs a lot of convincing, a lot of cajoling, a lot of, That's called shavartem nase. Right? And that's really the tikkun that the Indian of luchos shnius is a countermeasure for that situation. Right? That we have to find a way to bridge the maisa with the machshava, to bridge what we actually do with our good intentions. Try to create a bridge, because the natural flow between the two has been disrupted and shattered. We have to try somehow to rebuild the bridge.
Right, but that still doesn't explain why Moshe Rabbeinu had to make the luchos. Why not everyone else?
Not very good. So Moshe Rabbeinu is the das of Am Yisrael.
So
He didn't lose
the nasa?
Right. He didn't lose nasa. He wasn't even on earth. He wasn't involved. And he's the one that could try to make the bridge.
By bringing back a little bit of nasa, so we have
Right. So now correct. And that was the Indian of the second luchas, psol lucha. Right. But now you're going to have to do it. It's not going to be natural from heaven, but it has to be a way to, as it were, make a bridge. Now the letter Yud, we know, represents machshava. Rashi, in Parshas B'Shach, Oz Yashir Moshe. It should say Oz Shor Moshe. So Rashi says no, because he thought about it first, and then he said, Allah believe Yashir, Hayud al Shem HaMachshava. And then Rashi said, brings a whole bunch of examples. It's as I said, future tense with the Yud, but it just means that he thought about it before he did it. Hayud al Shem HaMachshava. Right? And we know deeper from the Gemara Menachos that Ki B'Ka Hashem Tzor Olamim, that HaKadosh created two worlds with the name Ka. He created the higher world with the letter Yud. He created Olam Hazeh with the letter Hey. So the letter Yud represents the spiritual, letter Yud represents Machshava, right? As opposed to the letter Hey, which represents the physical, which is Maisa. Right? We have to make a bridge between the machshava and the maisa, right? Between all the good intentions and what we actually do. Gotta build a bridge. Gotta build a bridge.
Of the hay and the
right.
Connect those two, as opposed to the yud, which is one piece.
Yes, correct. That the Maral says yud is in a perfect achdus. It's a point. It's indivisible. Right? Yes. Right? We gotta make that bridge. Got to make that bridge between the Rotzen and the Maisa. Right? Create a bridge. But now we have to do it. It's not natural anymore, and we have to work at it. We have to work at it. Carve at it. Psolacha. You have to carve away. So the Balei HaMusar and the Balei HaChasidus both say the same word. Psolacha. You have to, lacha, your ego. You have to chip away at your ego. Because your ego, which is the Yetzer Hara, that's what gets in the way. You got to chip away at it. Chip away at your ego, right? To beat it into shape that it'll be willing to go along with what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. You have to. There's a famous word from the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov says, right? Ask a steer in pasuk. Says lo stiris lo tasel pesel. Right?
How do you make a pesel?
You get it, and yet it says over here psolacha. Right? Psolacha. Make a pesel, meaning carve. Make a. Pesel means a carving, right? There's a lo tasel pesel. Over here psolacha. So the Baal Shem Tov, they say, the name of Baal Shem Tov, beautiful word, without getting into any fancy lumdas. Very simple. When it's usher is when it's the lecha is first. Lo tase lecha pesel. When your ego is first, the lecha, then it's pesel, it's avodah zarah. But if it's psal lecha, right? If you carve first and the ego is second, chip at the ego as opposed to the ego coming first, that's when it's not avodah zarah. Right? You have to chip away at the ego.
So,
right?
so basically, the reason why you shouldn't make a pesel is because everyone was saying that it's for the right reason. They're doing it for their own reason,
Yes.
being the wrong reason.
Well, listen, avodah zarah is always egocentric. How do you choose the God you want to serve? If you believe you have a choice, how are you going to choose which God you serve?
Whatever fits your
Exactly.
personality.
You're
Whatever
really
fits
serving
your-
yourself. You're
Whatever's
serving-
the easiest.
That's right. Whatever's the
Like
easiest.
Christianity.
Whatever's easiest, or whatever. If you're in your parnassus from this, you choose the God that's your, the power that he represents is in line with what your parnassus from. The trade that you chose of. That means that's the amazing thing. Avodah zarah is really self-serving. People chose their gods based on what they wanted. Hey, right?
Moshiach, Chabad.
There's no lishma in avodah zarah. There's no lishma in avodah zarah. The whole mitzvah of avodah zarah is really picking a God that serves you.
So how exactly isn't this whole call up the rabbi, you'll get a Yeshua, $5? How's that not avodah zarah? If it's a self-serving, fantasy basically. You're becoming Jewish. You're paying a rabbi to give you a Yeshua.
Right.
That's basically
because
basis of
no,
avodah zarah.
yeah, because you're not really serving yourself. You're serving him. He gets the money, not you.
Yeah, but you're meant to think that you're serving yourself. That's the problem. You don't understand. Most people follow blindly. It's like I'm going to this rabbi. I'll give him the money. He'll give me a shirt.
And they'll hook you up, right?
Yeah.
No, it was explained to me years ago already. Many years ago, I lived in Beit Shemesh. A Talmud of mine explained to me why people don't go to Rav Shteinman. Back then, they don't go to Rav Shteinman. They go to the Babot. I said, why? He said, because Rav Shteinman, you go to him with a problem. So I'll ask you, Avata Shomer Shabbat, Ata Lomed Torah, and that's it. You walk out with a lot of directives and a lot of the Baba, Zelo Mechayev, he doesn't obligate you to do anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, you pay for it, but it doesn't obligate you. Anyway, but getting to the point, the Himlech Os Yud B'Maaseh is to try to bridge the Machshava and the Maaseh, because there's no natural bridge between the two anymore. Because maybe in our minds and in our hearts we're all idealistic, but when it comes to Maaseh, we lag very far behind. Spirit may be strong, but the flesh is weak. And the whole avoda of luchos shnius, that God said, I'm going to give a new set of luchos, is to create a bridge. But it's creating a bridge. It's not changing the teva. The luchos are earthly, just like the body is earthly. It's not ma'as elokim anymore. It's earthly. Right? It's from the aretz. Right? But I'm going to create a bridge between the spiritual and the physical. So the physical and the spiritual are not in sync anymore. It's to create a bridge. And then the way we create a bridge is that we got to chip away at the physical. We got to beat it into shape, chisel it down. So even though the physical is not holy, but if you're willing to chisel at it, you can get it to be makabel, the tzura of kedusha, even though it itself is not kadosh.
So
you have to chip at it, and so Elul, the whole Indian of, we said this in a fancier way another time, but now we'll say it in a more down to earth way. The avoda of Elul is conditioning the body, conditioning the physical world to be ready to be makabel upon itself the tzura of ruchnius, the tzura of malchus shamayim, the tzura of tzivuy Hashem.
Is this connected to any the ability to lead?
That's right. Meaning, we have the dedication, but we have to we got to chip away at the body to make it that way.
Remember the last letter.
What?
The
Right.
Yud is what you have to get back to.
Right, correct. Very good, y'all. You got to get back to the excellent. It ends off with, you got to get to Li. That is correct. the Yud. Get back to that the physical should follow the ideological. And that's what took 40 days. The 40 days is all about, we said once that there was a whole new derech in Torah, which we said that once in an earlier share, and you guys remember it so well. So now we'll just talk about it from a more human point of view, that the process of Elul to Yom Kippur is a process of conditioning. During those 40 years that Moshe Rabbeinu was in Shemaim with those luchos that he carved, he chipped away at, God was chipping away at them also. Moshe Rabbeinu started, and that's all Musar Haskell for us, that if we want God to fix us and to make us better, you have to start. You got to start. It starts with psolacha. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, V'kasafti ala luchas. You start, but you got to start. If you don't start, God is not going to finish it for you.
That explains the whole yeshivas, Elul. Maybe something different, because this is the time when you have to take the mas and put it back.
Right. Link it up with the machshava.
So,
right, but we have to open up. God said, open up your heart wide, but you have to open up initially. You got to start. And that was the psolacha. The initial trying to condition Gashmias, bang it into shape to be makabel ruchnis. You start, God will finish. And I'm going to write on those luchas. Same thing were on the luchas rishonos. All the but you got to start. I'll finish, and it's a process. Even with God finishing it up for us when we genuinely start, right? It still takes 40 days. Process is over at Yom Kippur because it's building a bridge. It's conditioning. It's conditioning and bridging between the ruchnius and the gashmius that's no longer in sync with ruchnius because it's tainted.
It's a semi-bridge. Because the hay is just a reish and a little dot. There's still two other sides to fill up.
Yeah, we have to seal it up. That's right.
Or
le marbeh misra. We have to close the box. Yes,
right.
We complete the circuit like the mem stuma of le marbeh misra. We have to get to that. That's correct. We have to get to that, and that's why it takes 40 days. It's a process. It's a conditioning. It's a bridging. Right, but it starts with psolacha. The Musar Haskell is you got to start with banging away at yourself. You could count on God to finish. Not all in one day. It'll take time. You'll move 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, right? And that's what the 40 days are connected Yitziros Avlad. It's like a new creation. We have to somehow now refashion Gashmias that's out of sync with Ruchnias to still be, as it were, cooperative with Ruchnias. Be makabel from Ruchnias, even though it's not in sync with Ruchnias naturally anymore. That's the Avodah of Elul, and it starts with psolacha. You got to start and chip away at yourself. If you start and chip away yourself, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will finish it up for you, not in one day. It'll be a process, but you've begun the road to reconditioning.
40 days we started the process, but we're still in that process.
That's right.
Does that mean that Elul is Nesugal for more aliyah than any other?
For reconditioning, month? Yes. For reconditioning.
For mile per mile, for whatever effort a person puts into himself on Elul, he will accomplish more than any other month. Yes,
this is the month of your putting in, and whatever you put in, God gives you back tenfold.
Wow, so it's like
Elul is a major Elul is a major investment. This is the month where we're supposed to put in, right? Do what we can to recondition ourselves, and our Baruch Hu says, that's our Elul is our pitchol kamachat, and then the rest of the year is pitchol sheulam, right?
It's like those fundraisers. You give $1, you're gonna have someone else match your donation 5 times.
Now the truth is that that's also the relationship between Elul and Aser Simei Tshuva. During Aser Simei Tshuva, we get God kicks it. It starts kicking in. Big time. Like Aser Simei Tshuva is like we accomplish doing Aser Simei Tshuva more than we accomplish. It's like Aser Simei Tshuva is worth a whole year. That's what I'm saying. It's the whole year in review. So for 1 month of Elul, you get Aser Simei Tshuva, which is worth a whole year.
Preparation to come back to the point when you actually get the schar. It's like, wow.
That's Elul. Elul's about conditioning. But this is our chance to do our part. From Rosh Hashanah onwards, God kicks in and starts finishing the process.
So I'm happy we cleared out the whole yeshivas. Elul.
Right. That's it. That's why the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur called Dirshu Hashem B'hi Matzo. Seek God when He could be found. That's the 10 days from Rosh Hashanah until, because Elul is up to us. Then the last 10 days of the 40-day process is when God kicks in, and God gives you in 10 days what you can't gain in a whole year. That's why the Aseret Beit Tshuva is a tshuva for the whole last year. All right, this is what we wanted to say.
Beautiful.